In today's session of Divorce Court, Maggie Gilberto says her marriage ended because her husband Edward is a racist.
What would he say that made you say that he's a racist?
The N-word all the time.
I guess you really having a problem standing up here before me, huh?
We lived in the ghetto, basically.
So did you think you were better than those people?
Yeah, I did.
And now she says he's upset because she's got a new black boyfriend.
And I got to hear that he don't want his son raised around my half-breed.
Half-breed?
Half-breed. My other son with him is a half-breed.
So that's what's really bothering you, the fact that now she has another child that has to mix with your pure blood white child.
I don't like the fact that he's being raised in an all-black neighborhood.
Hey, did you ever hear the phrase that no one knows how ignorant you are until you open your mouth and then everybody knows you're a fool?
Today, Edward Gilberto faces off with Maggie Gilberto and her new boyfriend in divorce court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Mablean Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Maggie Gilberto versus Edward Gilberto. Mrs. Gilberto, I understand that after 3.5 years of marriage, you're ready to call it quits. Why?
My husband's very racist, and I just can't deal with it and cope with it anymore because...
What do you mean he's a racist?
He, even through our marriage, he didn't, talk about black people, and now that I'm with a black man, he doesn't agree with it at all, and I got to hear about it.
How did you get with the black man, and you're still married to your husband?
We've been separated for a year and a half.
Did you know your husband was a racist before?
Yes.
So why did you go over to a different person? To make him upset?
Because his views don't make my life. I'm my own person. I have my own views.
And what would he say that made you say that he's a racist?
The N-word all the time, and it's always the N-word and that everything about black people,
Throughout the marriage?
Yes.
So this has been a sore spot with you?
Yes.
So how did it get to be a sore spot? I mean, why did those people come up so often in your conversations?
Because we lived in a neighborhood that had,
a lot of black people.
Yes.
You afraid to say it too?
Excuse me, Your Honor, we lived in the ghetto, basically.
The ghetto.
You lived in the ghetto?
Basically.
And what does that mean, Mr. Gilberto?
People that don't have fortune of living nice and stuff like that, they steal stuff from you, get robbed, walk down the street every day.
So why were you living there?
It's the only place we could afford.
So did you think you were better than those people?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I did.
But how could you? And you're living in the same neighborhood because you couldn't afford anything less. You said you were living there.
At that time, I couldn't afford no more. Now I can.
Oh, now it makes you better now that you can afford more. Is that what you're telling me?
It don't make me better. Don't make them no better. It's education that makes you better or not.
No, it's how you believe in the fact that you can respect other people that makes you better. And knowing that we're all one regardless of the color of our skin, and your skin color doesn't make you any better than the other. And you have the audacity to be upset and talk about living in the ghetto with those people with poor housing and HUD, and that's all you could afford? Seems like you're on the same level. And it was an economic issue, not a color issue. Was it not?
Yes, it was, Your Honor.
Oh, and so now you're better, economically.
Economically, I'm better, Your
What
Honor.
you doing now?
I'm a bounty hunter full-time.
So now who you're hunting?
Nobody at this time.
And that makes you a better person today?
Doesn't make me a better person, don't make me a worse person.
I'm glad you realize it, but you probably think otherwise. So now you don't like your wife anymore?
I think that I don't like my wife. I don't like the fact that my son's being raised. I have a child with her. I don't like the fact that he's being raised in all black
I have
neighborhood.
another son.
Wait a minute. You and your wife had a son together?
Yes.
And now he's being raised in an all-black neighborhood, and you don't like that?
Yes.
The same all-black neighborhood in which you were living before
Yes.
you could afford something better economically?
Yes.
So now that makes it a terrible thing?
Yes.
Oh, really? Why didn't you move into an all-white neighborhood before if it was so bad?
Because you can't afford an all-white neighborhood. Most of them are too rich.
So are you trying to tell me that the only neighborhoods in America that there are poor people economically who live in HUD housing and poor folks are black? Is that what you're trying to tell? Excuse me. I asked you a question. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, Your Honor.
Because, see, you know what? You need to go back and do a little reading. Economics is cross board. There are poor, there's middle class, there's rich, and there are the super rich. Now, where you fit in?
I'm in about middle class, Your Honor.
It doesn't make you any different. So now the fact that she has the same baby with you living in the same neighborhood you were living in before?
With another child.
Yeah, I have a
And
son.
which was not yours child.
Yes.
Hold on.
And now that the two of you have a child together, which is yours and has his white blood running through you, he can't live in that neighborhood anymore.
Excuse me.
And he can't
No,
be
and
raised.
you excuse me, who are you?
I'm her boyfriend.
Well, you need to be quiet until I'm ready to talk to you. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Your Honor.
No, I'm trying to get this point. You're saying that now the same neighborhood you were living in before, when that's all that you could afford, and now that you're working and can afford more because you're a bounty hunter, your wife is still making the same money, and it's the same neighborhood that was good enough for you before. Now your little son can't live there? Is that what you're telling me?
He has an opportunity. He could move into a nicer neighborhood now.
And is that what you're really concerned about, a nicer neighborhood, or you
Nicer.
don't want him around her black boyfriend?
It's nothing against the black boyfriend. I just don't like the neighborhood.
But Your Honor,
Yes, Ms. Gilbert.
I have a son with him, with my new boyfriend, and I got to hear that he don't want his son raised around my half-breed.
Well, that's what I asked him. Half-breed.
Half-breed. My other son with him is a half-breed.
So that's what's really bothering you, the fact that now she has another child that has to mix with your pure blood white child. Is that what
He's
you're
not
trying to tell
pure
me?
blood. He's Italian, Indian, and Irish.
You know, you sound, how old are you?
25.
Did you ever hear the phrase that no one knows how ignorant you are until you open your mouth and then everybody knows you're a fool?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what you sound like right now since you've opened your mouth. Let me talk to this witness up here. Come forward. That's real ignorance, what you're talking now. It's based upon that. There's no validity for your color and the fact that the child is mixed or unmixed, yours being better. That's an ignorant assumption based upon other people's need to keep folks down and make themselves feel better just because. I guess you really having a problem standing up here before me, huh?
No, I'm not, Your Honor.
What's your name, sir?
Rochelle Ring.
And what do you have to offer to this testimony?
I have been in the car with him when he hollered at. Well, before he knew that me and her was together, he had said that he found out that she slept with another black man, that he would be pissed at her.
You were in the car with the two of them?
Yes.
How did that happen? He didn't like being around you people.
Because he's
He
two-faced.
lived down the street from me.
So you were friends before? Or you thought you were friends?
Yes. It was after they have separated.
You were in the car with with Mr. Gilberto and Mrs. Gilberto?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was he saying?
Yeah, well, we was in the back seat, and she was in the front seat with somebody else. And he just came out and said that he found out that she slept with another black man, that he'd be pissed.
And he didn't know she had already slept with you?
No.
And so what'd you do, laugh at that point?
Yes.
You thought it was funny?
And I thought he was joking at first. That's why I didn't really paid much mind. Until after she had the baby, and his views changed, and I found out it was true that he.
After she had your baby?
Yes, ma'am.
When divorce court returns, the judge questions Maggie about her new boyfriend.
He's just being this way because it is over that I have a black boyfriend.
Did you meet Mr. Ray and deliberately decide to go out and have a relationship with a black man because you knew that's the one thing that would tear your husband apart?
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Maggie Gilberto, who says she's divorcing her husband Edward because he's a racist.
You can sit down, Mr. Rain. Thank you.
Just
I'm just going to leave that subject alone and invite you to do a little bit more reading and become more educated.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the only problem in the marriage, the fact that you now have a new mate and a new child who happens to be of mixed race?
No, Your Honor.
What's the other problem?
We went out. She gave me money to purchase a car for her. I put it in my name, put insurance in my name, and then we signed an agreement. The agreement was that he was not to drive the car.
Who's he? Does he have a name? I'm not going to allow him to be invisible.
I know him as JR.
Thank you. Refer to him as such.
As JR. And then I found out he did drive it after the agreement was signed.
So you and your wife had an agreement that JR was to never drive this car?
Yes.
And he drove it and now you're upset?
Yes.
So at the time, were you dating Mr. Rain?
Yes, I was.
And did he tell you that that was the condition? He'd help you only if you promised that Mr. Rain would never drive the car?
Yes, he said he didn't want him in the car. He didn't want him driving the car.
Well, and did you promise that?
Yes.
Why would you ever do that when you knew that you were dating Mr. Rain?
Because he's
you were pregnant by him.
Because he's a jerk. And Edward, he wants everything his way. And he wouldn't have helped me one bit if I wouldn't have just looked at him and disagreed with him.
So you just went along with it just so you could get what you want? Mm-hmm. I see. Mr. Gilberto, why is that necessary as a condition? What makes the what's the difference if Mr. Rain rides in the car now?
Insurance reasons, too. I didn't care whose boyfriend she had. I didn't want nobody else driving the vehicle. It was
so
for
there
her.
it is. You just didn't want another man driving the vehicle that was in your name, and you were paying the insurance, and you had helped her pay for it, and you were still her husband. You didn't want another man driving your car. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Everything may have been in his name, but I'm the one that paid. Regardless, I'm the one that paid. He's just being this way because it is over that I have a black boyfriend. If my grandfather was to drive the car,
he didn't have a problem.
Right.
So you know that it's all because of the, your boyfriend is black?
Oh, yeah, because that's all it's ever thrown up in my face. Even when we got to discuss our son together, all it's ever thrown up in my face is that he is around my boyfriend and he's black. He's got to be raised with a mixed breed. My son doesn't matter. My son loves his brother regardless. He doesn't see the color. And I don't want my son raised that way.
Well, let me ask you something. Did you meet Mr. Rain, deliberately decide to go out and have a relationship with a black man because you knew that's the one thing that would tear your husband apart and make him angry?
No.
So what else was going on in this marriage?
During the marriage, you know, I had 7 hip surgeries that he felt that were unnecessary.
So now he plays doctor too?
Yeah.
Why did you think they were unnecessary, Mr. Gilberto?
She had her hip fused, then she had her son, and it broke the fusion, but she could still walk.
Oh, painful.
And? So now you're to decide who needs surgery and when?
No, I'm not a doctor on that, but going through all the surgeries, it just destroyed our marriage a lot.
So the marriage is ending over the fact that your wife had to have surgeries and she wasn't available to you to be at home to do what you thought she should do, and you had to take up the load and go to the hospital and go to work. Now you want the marriage to end. Are you going to do that in any time you're in life and things get a little rough for you?
I think the marriage should be over with. She has a child with another man. She's happier with the other man. I found another woman. We're better off that way.
No one is arguing that. We know the marriage is over. Anytime she's out with somebody else and you're out with somebody else. But the point is, it's over because of a physical injury. That's the value to it.
It's not all about physical injury.
It is, Your Honor, because during that, we had to move in with my grandmother to help me take care of me and my son.
Moving in with
he never
them.
came home. The crib was moved to upstairs so they can tend for his son. It was, they bought the diapers, they bought the food. They were there.
Excuse me, Your Honor,
During
I don't
this time,
believe that.
he did have an affair on me and told the woman we were separated. All because I couldn't have sex with him.
Who was the date? Your grandparents?
Yes, my grandparents.
Did I hear you say that he had an affair because you couldn't have sex with him because of your hip surgery?
That's what he told me later on in the marriage. That's why he had it.
So you started your affair during your marriage?
No, I did not have sex with the girl. We had...
They just went to the hotel for nothing.
You didn't have sex with her. You had what?
We would sit there and talk. I needed somebody to talk to that's not going to be all drugged up all the time.
So you had somebody you were just whispering to all the time and talking to all the time. Now tell me why I don't believe that. You really think that you can pull one on me, huh? So this talking continued, and that's why you left your wife?
No,
Because she
that's not
talked
why
so
I left
good?
my wife.
He had to have a couple more affairs before he left me.
So it just started talking with one, and then it moved on to 2 or 3 more, and it finally got to
5.
a sexual affair. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why couldn't you say it? Why you make me say it?
Sounded better.
No, you were trying to fool me with that we just talked.
I mean, after she was starting to go through her surgery, our marriage just started falling apart, and our communication started going downhill. We started fighting a lot more. I mean, we get into fights. She'd be throwing stuff at me.
It all started because he said, if you say that, I was trying to have a talk with my husband about why our marriage was falling apart and why he was unable to keep a job. So I said to him, you used to be such a go-getter. He said, if you say that word one more time.
To tell him about being a go-getter?
So I said, go-getter.
I hate that word, Your Honor, because she used to use it all the time.
Oh, well, I say that you're a go-getter. And now you're no longer doing that. Are you going to smash me?
No, Your Honor, I don't want to go to jail.
I'm glad you have enough sense to realize that. So you ran off into money problems and stuff because you weren't bringing your money home and your wife can't work. So finally you decided to help her with the car, and you're upset about it if she lets somebody else drive.
Yes, Your Honor.
So did you buy it for her as your bargaining tool to keep her under your wings?
Yep.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict.
Now, if you open up your head from that other madness, you probably could think a little better.
And an update on the case of Michelle Jones versus Carrie Neal.
This is your husband. He was a writer, he's a rapper, he's an artist.
He's a starving artist.
I want to own things.
The bank account has been froze.
Divorce court is back and the verdict is in the case of Maggie Gilberto, who says she's divorcing her husband Edward because she can no longer tolerate his racist behavior.
So now you're upset about her letting someone else drive the car. Now Mr. Rain drives the car, so what should we do about it? You want the car back? Is that what you're telling me?
The car's not worth having back.
So what do you want to do about it?
I'd like just reimbursement back for what I put into the car.
And what was that? The insurance?
The insurance and the little bit of money I helped her with putting down on the car.
And how much is that, Mr. Gilberto?
I don't have, it's like maybe $300 total.
Maybe.
I don't have
So
paperwork.
you come to court to ask me for reimbursement and you don't even know how much?
I don't have the paperwork in front of me, Your Honor.
So then how much am I supposed to give you? Whatever I feel like giving you? Including zero?
No, Your Honor.
So then how do you tell me what you want? How do you support your request?
The insurance was, I think, was $149, and I think I gave her like $120 something for the car to help pay off the car.
You were coming to court to request reimbursement for what you put into the car, and all you can walk in here and tell me is, I think?
I'm sorry.
You didn't have any documents that would
I
you
don't
could
have
look
the
at?
documents in front of
Being
me.
such an intelligent person who's moved out of that bad neighborhood, whose life is much better, you couldn't pick up a document and read it?
I don't have the documents in front of me, Your Honor.
You couldn't read it before you got here?
I wrote them down and everything else. I just didn't bring them with me.
And you left a piece of paper?
Yes, Your Honor.
So since you don't have any proof, how am I supposed to give you back anything?
I mean, you can ask Maggie. She does know how much.
Oh, you want her to prove your case? You willing to prove his case and tell me what I should give him because he's asking for the money back? You're not asking for any money back, are you?
No.
So if you don't have any proof, you have any proof of what you paid for this car?
Bills at home.
At home.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good place for it to be. I'm not going to your house. And I don't think Joe is either. You going over there?
I don't think so.
I don't either. So since you can't prove your case dismissed. Out of here.
All
Bye.
rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Michelle Jones versus Carrie Neal.
She wants to live me average. I don't feel like I'm an average person.
I ain't trying to be average. I'm trying to eat.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. Michelle Jones said she wanted to divorce her husband Carrie Neal after just 3 months of marriage because he was a freeloader.
He wants to be a rap star. He doesn't want to work.
Because she's not supportive of anything I do.
You got to give some support to get some support.
So aren't you not supportive of what he's trying to do with his life?
I'm being supportive, but support me.
She wants to live me average. I don't feel like I'm an average person.
I ain't trying to be average. I'm trying to eat.
This is your husband. He was a writer. He's a rapper. He's an artist.
He's a starving artist.
I want to own things.
The bank account has been froze. He didn't have 2 job offers. Say yes to one.
So if you paid for the marriage and you paid for the wedding, weren't you saying to him, I'm willing to pay for you while you do this?
Now, there is a limit to what you can pay.
You people sound like 2 kids who didn't know each other.
Michelle wanted to keep the stereo system Carrie bought while they were married. The judge decided Carrie should keep the stereo and pay Michelle $175. Carrie has quit his job to devote all of his time to his music career. Michelle says she is happy to be single again and is looking for a new love.
The verdict I thought was unfair. They made me look like a racist person while I was out there, which I'm really not a racist person.
I thought the verdict was very right because he is lying and he's just being prejudiced, and that's the only reason he wants the money back.
The only thing that came good out of our marriage was our son, and that was about it.
I have no problem with my children being raised together. They get along perfectly, and I love both my children, and they love each other.